absolutely fabulous. And it's nice to put faces to email names. Something last night that was shared in the question and answer was, how different is it now from Chernobyl? And one of the major differences is the internet and how fast information is getting out. And I think we need to use that to our advantage to further organize. So, that being said, let me introduce Natalia. I think we did not do programs, but you have her biography there. I've known Natalia as the director of the Movement for Nuclear Safety, Chattanooga. Is that almost right? Yes. And she's been to Atlanta and Georgia a few times. We're all part of the Alliance for Nuclear Accountability, grassroots groups around the country, about 38 of them, working all across the country and internationally, especially for the people on the ground. Georgia 1, that's where we enter. We're not Union of Concerned Scientists or Nuclear Watch South or Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. We look at it from an environmental justice standpoint. And we are specifically concerned in Georgia right now about the Plant Vogtle expansion in Burke County, directly across from the Savannah River site, where I can literally throw a golf ball from Georgia to South Carolina. I can. So Arjun Makajani and others have written about this area as nuclear dumps by the riverside. And that is where the Obama administration has, last year, over that, put $8.3 billion in nuclear loan guarantees. So whether it's the human cost, the financial cost, it's too great, and we're so glad you're here to hear about Chernobyl. We have Natalia, Mironova, and Natalia Manzurova. We're going to refer to the other Natalia as Natasha to keep them separate. Natalia Manzurova was the one who worked in Chernobyl a year after the catastrophe, and she started working a year after and then went every day for 4 years to do testing and sampling to the whole Chernobyl region, and she will talk about that. And she has suffered radiation sickness from her exposures. Natalia earned her PhD, Sociology of Governance at the Academy of State Service. She's the founder of the Movement for Nuclear Safety and a member of the Board of Directors of the Public Policy and Law Institute. She's been an engineer, a scientist, a legislator, a wonderful woman with a great family, and we love her. So please welcome her. And would you like to stand over here to do it? Would that be easier? Yeah. Please welcome Natalia Mironova.
Thank you for having me here, and this is a very tragic moment of our history, and I would like to do all I can to turn this moment of history to raise our nature and energy as civil society to make this point as a turning point of our technical development, of our social development, and of our political development. I was invited to do Chernobyl lesson presentation maybe 2 or 3 months before, and when my presentation was very close to be done, Fukushima happened, and Fukushima became last picture in my presentation. And so the Fukushima again do obvious all these things what I put in my presentation, all the mistake that I discussed in my presentation, which was based on Chernobyl experience. So thank you very much, and I would try to be short as possible. I start with the first slide, which is describe the human price of the nuclear development. When I start do this alignment, then on the right corner, I decided to compare the First World War victims. It was 21 million human lives. The Second War take 50 million human lives. And then our nuclear age started from the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It is total around 500,000 human lives, including the second and third generation. Then we have a nuclear bomb production and testing, and this period take 3 million lives. Then we have Chernobyl explosion. And Chernobyl explosion, because this is the main topic, I split for the 3-period short-term effect, take 7 million alive, including recovery operation workers and inhabitants in the contaminated area. It is not the figures taken from Greens. It is figures which was taken in United Nations Scientific Committee of Effect of Atomic Radiation, which was prepared right in for Chernobyl 25 in 2011 years. They have a black line draft. So I took these figures from this draft. I use short-term, middle-term effect. United Nations Committee did not use it, but we can use because we see how situation develops. So the middle-term effect, it is the number of people who was suffered by radiation. And in right after Chernobyl, in 1988, it was some kind of estimation given to nuclear scientific community. It was 5 million lives. And in 2011, the same committee, what I explained, give the rise this expectation up to 100 millions. So you can say how much mistake was made in the right after Chernobyl and how this figure looks today. And at last we have a long-term effect, and this figure really shocked me. Mostly when I put this on the graph, because all previous lives, what we lost in the World War, became very, very small part of what we will lost with nuclear age. It is 600 million people across the world are affected and will have long-term effect. It means a genetic effect, immune effect, birth abnormality, and so on, mental defect, all these diseases would now, step by step, our medical scientists discover and connect with cells also affected by radiation. So we have a lot of information and much more effect. So the next slide, please. Bobby mentioned about human life price and economical price. So looking this step to step, what was the price of Chernobyl? This is also estimation which given Russian scientist Alexei Yablokov since the Chernobyl happened, and by 2015 Chernobyl catastrophe will cost $9 trillion US dollars just for 3 states, Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus. And what we know from our Russian experience, the cost of this catastrophe transferred from the nuclear industry to taxpayers. In Russia, the government provides a lot of programs which named about rehabilitation of territory or social rehabilitation and so on. This is government program paid from taxpayers' money, not from the profit, not from the profit of nuclear industry. Looking to the nuclear project number 2,